Joining us right now to talk about the broader impact of the revolt is McNeal, Longview Global Managing Director, CNBC contributor. Good morning to you. It is, dare I say, the talk of the town, the talk of the world. It's been the talk here at the Aspen Ideas Festival. Before we even get into the implications, what do you think actually happened, and what do you think is about to happen next?
It's a good question, Andrew. Good morning to you. Listen, I think we had a situation where the Wagner Group certainly felt that they were shouldering a lion's share of the responsibilities out on the front line, not getting what they need from the Ministry of Defense. There's certainly some personal issues going on there between Prigozhin and the Minister of Defense. So I think all of this boiled over, Andrew. I think it was a wild weekend for sure. I have no idea what's happening next within Russia. You know, I've been thinking about this in terms of what it means for Russia's external relationships, primarily China. You may recall, Andrew, that the deputy foreign minister for Russia, Andrei Rudinko, was in Beijing, certainly trying to reassure Beijing that everything is fine, nothing to see here, and trying to get reassurance from Beijing. It's been a wild weekend for sure.
So how do you think it changes the relationship, if it does at all? And let's just say right now and stipulate, you look at where the markets are this morning, down, but not in any meaningful way. Should there be more? Is this a riskier situation than investors and the world are expecting?
Look, I think it is hard to see how we're not pricing in greater risk over the near and longer term for sure. Look, Putin survived, and so I guess people are breathing a sigh of relief there. But this is a regime on life support. With respect to China, you know, they got the reassurance that they were looking for publicly. But Beijing is extremely worried about the instability that we all saw this weekend and what that may mean for the long term for Vladimir Putin. And you know, this is not just any state. This is one of the major nuclear powers in the world. So China does not want an implosion or failed state on his border. So, you know, for me, there's a lot of risk still here, and I'm not sure that we're seeing that in any real way in the markets this morning. But we're not
to the extent, though,
to
the extent that you would price that risk in. I don't know if you think that's a risk to the oil markets. I don't know how you would stipulate that risk, but how would you measure it?
Well, I think to your point, Andrew, being one of the major producers of oil and gas, I think you have to look there for sure. But the broader commodities markets as well. I mean, let's talk about the Wagner Group for a minute. You know, these guys are not just on the front lines in Ukraine. They happen to be in a number of places where they are protecting states that are extractive states. So a lot of minerals. There are a lot of potential risk here. We have no idea what's going to happen to the Wagner Group's portfolio. So I just don't see enough in terms of the pre-open of a real concern that I have for these near-term and perhaps certainly long-term risks.